Hey everybody, my name is Bricky. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have no idea if I've told this story before. I think I have, but it was on maybe a Fireside Bricky back in the day, and it wasn't any kind of like dedicated video for the story itself. So I wanted to tell you this story of mine real quick because I felt like it was a nice story to tell. I like this story a lot, and I don't know, kind of want to share it. So. Yeah. So as a lot of you know, I worked as an EMT back in the day. Emergency Medical Technician is what it stands for. And basically what it means is I was a base level, I guess it's called BLS, basic life support. I worked on an ambulance. And back, at least in America, or at least in California, a lot of ambulance services are privatized. They're not part of the government of any kind, unlike fire stations that are part of the overarching government or state or however you want to call it. This is all privatized stuff. You can create a medical ambulance kind of company for yourself. And I worked for a smaller company down out of Anaheim. Or no, it was actually Orange, but it's near Anaheim. If you don't know where Anaheim is, it's where Disneyland is. It's down in about, I guess, mid to North Orange County, California. It's about a 35-minute commute from where I lived, and it was a bit of a drive, of course, obviously, but this was what I wanted to do as a younger person. I wanted to study into the medical field, become a firefighter. That was my goal at the time. And after passing all of my EMT courses and tests in high school, because I took RLP programs for that, I got a job at a smaller company over up there. So that's what I did, because in that field, it's very competitive, and it's very important that whatever job you get, you take. You need the experience. Now, this job wasn't as stressful as some other ambulance companies because I can count on one hand the amount of 911 based emergencies that it had to respond to. There was very few any kind of major hardcore emergencies. Most of what we did was transfer of patients from either hospital to hospital, or perhaps dialysis patients, or my more personal favorites, 5150 calls, which are basically insane people, schizophrenia, any kind of people that need transport to a psych ward. Those are pretty fun. I mentioned schizophrenia because schizophrenia was generally the overarching one out of them all. It's a lot of schizophrenia. Occasionally taking patients from the jails over somewhere else, like a transfer from a psych ward to a jail, which was a little bit interesting. Those people were something else. But overall, that's kind of what we did. We did a lot of patient transport rather than any major emergency calls. I had a couple, but not a ton. So this generally ran with a usual schedule. When you got on shift, depending on the day, you had a dialysis patient to take, and then you might have a call of somebody moving from a convalescent home to a hospital because their blood work came back weird or their blood pressure is bad. Things like that. A problem like that could have happened. We were there to take care of it. But as this small company ran, there weren't generally a whole lot of calls, and there was a decent amount of downtime, but sometimes you got those days, Now, like with any kind of field like this, you could have a day where you just get nothing. You get no calls. You watch Breaking Bad for 9 hours, and it's the best day of your life, and you get paid for it. And then sometimes you just get slammed every single second of the entire day, and you wonder why you chose this job. So I was on shift with a guy named Joseph, a really nice guy. I always liked him. He was a really cool person to work with. Joseph, I doubt you're watching this, but if you are watching this, man, you were always one of the best people to work with, man. You're always upbeat, just in a good mood almost all the time. It was a real pleasure. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, I was 19. I think he was 25, give or take at the time, and he was the driver, and I was I don't really know how to describe what I was, but basically one person drives, and then when we take patients, I sit in the back with the patient and keep them stable and talk to them, get medical information, that usual kind of stuff, do paperwork, blah, blah, blah. So today was, I think it was a Friday. I don't quite remember the exact day of the week, near the end, maybe like a Thursday or a Friday. And during this day, we were starting off with a standard call in the beginning of the day, dialysis call. And so we took our patient there, and then immediately after that, we generally get breakfast. It was around, I think, about 8 a.m., maybe about 9 a.m. when we actually finished the call. I believe the shift started at 8 a.m., and since these were 11-hour shifts, we got off at 7. So after taking the patient, we do normally grab breakfast post, but this time around, we got another call. So immediately after we took the patient, we got a call, hey, you got to go take another patient from a hospital. I'm like, okay, that sucks, but whatever, we'll go. And once we arrive there, they say, what the hell? You're 30 minutes late. Like, we just got the call. We just arrived here, like as fast as possible. And apparently our boss took the call a lot earlier and said we'll be there a lot earlier than we were, because it was either say that or lose the call, which is lose the money. And so we were kind of given the end of the stick right there because we were really late to this call. that we really had no option to do so. So the nurses weren't necessarily the kindest to us, but past that became par for the course, to be honest. That happened a lot, and it really annoyed me, but that's a story for a different day. So we took this patient, and then when we finished that call, we made our way back to the dialysis patient, took them, and then we went to the next patient, the next dialysis person that is, took them, and then they had another call, and then we did that call, and then we had another call, and then we took that one, and then we took the patient back, and then we had another call, and then on the way to get food, we found a car accident. And if there's a car accident, you are legally supposed to stop regardless of if you're on call or not for this kind of accident. So we stopped and we helped out the person in the car. It wasn't too crazy. It was like some run the red light, got hit in the back, headache type thing. Nothing, headache, kind of just like, whoa, feel nothing too crazy. But then as we finished that call or that car accident, we got another call, and then we had to go on that call. And it was horrible. It was basically one of those days where you had no breaks. Nothing stopped. I think we had maybe 8 or 9 calls that time, and each call is about an hour. So we pretty much took the entire day of work back, forth, on empty stomachs. We did not get a chance to eat anything. So I hadn't had anything since pretty much 5 at night, the last night, or maybe 6, whenever I had dinner. Because I didn't have anything to eat in that morning, and normally we were able to, but not this time around. So it's been over 24 hours since I've had a bite to eat. Didn't even get coffee. I had a bottle of water. Nutrition, hydration. But finally, after all that happened, after we finished up all these calls, we finally had a break, and we were dead. We were completely, absolutely dead. It was one of the more tiring days of my time. It was without a doubt one of the hardest days I had there, probably like top 3. And so after that, it was finally time for us to get food, because we actually had some time to get some food, and it was like 6. So we're only an hour left on our shift, maybe a little bit less. There's a good chance we weren't going to get a call. We weren't sure, but at this point, we were just like, screw it. So at the end of our final call, we saw a giant food truck gathering in the parking lot of a Home Depot. And when we passed by it to take our patient back, we kind of looked at it and we exchanged glances that sort of like, you know what we're thinking. So after we finished dropping that patient off, we decided to make our way over there. And we're driving that really big ass ambulance, the huge back part. But we didn't drive the box ones. That looked like a big box or anything. We drove like the more thinner ones, so we can actually fit in parking spots like as by itself. But the entire parking lot was massively full, as this was actually some kind of like pull your flatbed truck out, pull out some foldable chairs, and you all sit down and have food truck things. There's about like 9 food trucks, give or take, in this area. And so we somehow, I don't know how he did it, but he was able to mosey down like he was playing Snake or doing Battletoads, making his way between all these people in what basically was a mini truck. I really don't know how to explain it, but it's basically like moving a small, a small freight container, this giant ambulance, trying to make its way through all these people, all these trucks to find this one parking spot that somebody found. And he squeezed this huge freight container looking vehicle into that parking spot. And by slightly having like this much space to get out, I pushed my door and I got my way out of there, just barely squeezing my way through. And we walked on over to the food truck area, and we looked around and we saw the usual things you see, a Thai bite thing, a nice little chicken and rice noodle bowl type of stuff. And then our eyes set on the one thing that was not healthy: grilled cheese. There's a grilled cheese truck there. And some of you may have noticed the grilled cheese truck. I think they're rather popular, but I remember seeing the grilled cheese truck because I had it back in San Diego Comic-Con 2015, maybe. I was 19 at the time, so that was 4 years ago. So whatever time that was, I remember having it. It was very, very good. So we went to the grilled cheese truck, and one of their options was a macaroni and cheese grilled cheese with pulled pork, like brisket or something of that nature. So it was the two, pieces of bread with macaroni and cheese mushed on the bottom and a bunch of barbecue pulled pork on the top. And of course, being California, I got avocado on it as well. Sorry, maybe that ruins it for some of you, but hey, I know who I am. So I got in. This was a mammoth sandwich. I'm talking, your regular grilled cheese is about this big. Like we're talking. This is a fat thing where it actually struggles for you. You get a big burger at Chili's or something. You have to push the thing down to even get a single normal bite. We're talking like that big. It was a fat sandwich, all right. And I'm not talking fat with an F. I'm talking fat with a PH. Okay, it was a thick ass sandwich. So we get the sandwich in these little things with these tiny little napkins. We're talking half a ply napkins, the ones where you place it on the table and it flutters away in the wind within a half second. And we got a big stack of these napkins, and we mosey our way through all these people, all these people with their trucks and their damn foldable chairs, these huge families all coming out to get all these food trucks, and in our uniforms with giant grilled cheese sandwiches. And we make our way back to the ambulance, and I had to hold his grilled cheese so he can squeeze his way into the driver's seat. And I had to give it to him through the passenger seat so I could push my way through it as well. And then we just kind of sat there and we started eating our grilled cheese, and this giant strands of cheese coming out of it, the pulled pork and the sweet barbecue sauce that came out of it, that nice like crunch sound effect that you know and love so damn well. And combined with that, we just didn't care at this point. We were spilling parts of the cheese and macaroni on all around the ambulance, and some of it was landing on our uniform, and we were trying to wipe it up, but we had the windows rolled down, so every time I tried to pick up some of the grilled cheese or some of the like half applied napkins, we started trying to push it off, but we would lose half the napkins and they would fly throughout the front of it, but it was too hot in here to close the windows because it was like dead in the summer, so we had to keep the windows down. And so we had this little like tornado turbine of napkins trying to get the cheese off of the uniform. And it was the most unprofessional thing ever. But at this point, we just started giggling. We just started laughing. We're two grown men squeezed up in the tiniest little spot in the middle of a food truck convention after like 8 hours, no, 6 o'clock, 10 hours of excruciating, consistent work, eating fat ass grilled cheeses, spilling on a uniform with a bunch of napkins flying around the front seat of the car. And we just started laughing really hard. And we started I don't know how we were able to laugh with that much cheese stuck to our face, but we just kept on laughing. Like it was the funniest thing we've ever heard. Started getting all teary-eyed because you're laughing too hard, trying to wipe away our little laughing tears with cheesy napkin hands. That didn't really work, and I got cheese stuck in my eye for a quick second. And it was just such a silly moment. And it made me really happy. And it kind of gave me a big smile on my face between the pulled pork. Because after this entire day, after all this shit that happened, after the annoyances that occurred, here we are, end of the line. One of the worst days I've had on that job ever has been completely turned around by a fat ass grilled cheese and a bunch of little shenanigans that were occurring on the way to get the grilled cheese. It was just so stupid. And we couldn't help but enjoy it. So I kind of left home, or I left the office, the station, I guess would be the term, with a pretty big smile on my face. We didn't have another call after that. We wiped up our uniforms the best we could. We got back, cleaned the ambulance, put everything away, and we went home. And I had a big ass smile on my face, and it felt really good. And 90% of that day was horrible, but that tiny little thing, that 10%, that little thing right there, totally turned it around. And I just wanted to say this story because it's one of the more enjoyable stories that I've had because it always makes me feel good. I always think about all the things I've gone on, whether it be in my life or someone else's life, and because I don't know your life, I don't know what you do, I don't know what's going on in your world, and some of you probably don't even know what's going on in my world. I keep things, I got my own personal stuff going on, but at the end of the day, sometimes the little things really turn stuff around, and I shouldn't take them for granted. Anyway, that's really it. That's all I wanted to do. I want to tell that story. Probably told that story before, but I don't know if I made a dedicated video for it. But it's fun. I like it. So I wanted to tell you. Anyway, hope you have a wonderful day. And if you weren't, I hope it helped a little bit. And think about some of the little things more. I think it'll feel good. All right. I'll see you later. Bye bye.